One moment people are walking down streets and commuting like always, then suddenly they feel it, a shift in their bodies. A strange weightlessness rises from within, as if gravity itself has blinked out for an instant, then returns with something new added to its rules, a permission, not just of flight, but full control over where you go next. Across the globe it happens at once. People gasp mid-sentence and find themselves hovering, some with eyes wide in panic, while others grin like kids given a sky full of candy. Skyscrapers turn into launch pads, and office workers drift through open windows, trailing coffee mugs like falling stars. Skyscrapers no longer just house the sky, they now share it. People hover outside windows and between buildings like birds without wings or fear of falling. A streetlight swings gently from a man's outstretched hand, and a woman balances on a rooftop chimney, laughing as children zoom past her like darts of sunlight. Wait, this is mine! Two people think at the same time and crash into each other mid-air. A backpack flies off, a coffee spills in slow arcs, and for a heartbeat, the sky holds its breath. The first real accident in human history, caused by someone else's dream of flying exactly where you wanted to be? Left. Right. People begin shouting directions into the air, not at cars or trains, but each other. The world's first sky traffic jam forms as no one knows if there are rules for this new freedom yet. "I'm gone!" a thief grins as he ascends through a rooftop chimney, then vanishes into the clouds. Police radio chatter erupts below while detectives realize crime just got impossibly harder to catch. Drones buzz, but the sky is a maze of shadows and sudden silence. Every rooftop a blind spot, every breeze a possible escape. Skyscrapers become islands as office workers hover in tight formation, wings flapping like laundry on fire escapes. Commuters brush past each other mid-air, juggling coffee and schedules. Below, traffic grinds to a halt. Roads now just scenic backdrops to a sky full of wingbeats and wingtips. "This looks like a storm of people," one observer mutters, shading his eyes as a flock of schoolchildren zips past, trailing backpacks and giggles. It's not just chaos, it feels alive, like the sky itself has become a beating heart, its rhythm set by wings, not wind. At first it was just joy, but then came the ones with a gift, stronger lift, sharper turns. They formed circles above the cities, weaving through towers like dancers in a sky ballet. People below watched, stunned. These weren't just flyers, they were becoming something else. Something. Airborne aristocracy. Soon, these aerialists began organizing sky rallies, high-stakes races where flyers twisted through flaming hoops and leapt over floating platforms, drawing crowds that stretched for blocks below, breathless and cheering like never before. Soon, the sky became a tangled web of wings and wires. Flyers zipped through clouds like startled birds, barely dodging mid-air collisions. What was once a thrill became a gamble with gravity itself. Airports became ghost towns, while highways were littered with dented cars abandoned mid-pursuit. Overhead, a power line snapped like a frayed guitar string, sending sparks chasing the shadows of passing wings. The sky churned like a bruise, and lightning cracked through the clouds like a thief stealing our secrets. Rain lashed the streets, blurring the world into a watercolor mess. We flapped harder, but the wind fought back, snatching at us like a jealous lover trying to drag us back to the ground. The first building collapse wasn't a warning, it was an inevitability, triggered by the weight of thousands unknowingly hovering too close for long periods. Concrete groaned like a dying beast, glass shattered like 1,000 screams, and the earth shuddered as if the ground itself had finally given up. Then it happened, a high-speed mid-air smash, metal and bone snapping like overcooked pasta. Shards of twisted metal rained down, igniting fires in the streets below. The sky wasn't infinite, and now the air was thick with panic, smoke, and the acrid stench of failure. The skies were no longer a playground, but an unpredictable battlefield, where every breath in air could mean collapse below. Skyscrapers shuddered under falling debris, and once busy highways became ghostly labyrinths of smoke and silence. And yet, no one had asked if we should learn to fly at all. But the sky wasn't just a battlefield, it was also becoming an experiment in physics and human behavior as our bodies adapted to new forces we hadn't considered. People began drifting aimlessly like kites caught on invisible strings, hovering without purpose until they realized flight required not only will, but balance. Skies turned into tangled highways of motion. People zipped between buildings like reckless birds, forgetting gravity had just become optional. A coffee cup tumbled from a collision midair, spilling scalding steam into someone's surprised face. The city was no longer just built for us, it was built around us, and we were still learning how to fly. Governments scrambled. The first laws were simple: no flying above rooftops at night, until someone tried to fly over a volcano and nearly vaporized themselves. Black smoke plumed into the moonlit sky, a smoldering reminder that the air had rules, whether we liked them or not. Desperate for order, engineers strung together the first sky bridges, steel lattices suspended in thin air, glowing faintly with magnetic fields. People marveled at the wonder until the bolts gave way. 1,000 feet of metal groaned, twisted, and crashed into a tangle below, swallowing everything and everyone in its fall. Casualties were no longer distant headlines. Now they plummeted like shattered kites, limbs and luggage, backpacks and briefcases, smashing through rooftops, shattering windows, turning every street corner into a graveyard of falling. To prevent chaos from becoming law itself, the first aerial police units took to the sky, armed not just with weapons but with whistles and hand signals that echoed through crowded airways like ancient sea shanties. Their uniforms, dyed deep crimson with silver wing insignias, billowed like capes in the wind, and their calls cut through the sky like shears parting storm clouds. Flight became the new literacy. Sky schools popped up overnight, colorful banners flapping in the wind, chalk-dusted instructors shouting above the hum of wings. Kids hovered in rows, cheeks flushed, stomachs tied in knots, learning to bank left without spilling their midair meals. Air lanes formed like highways, painted in chalk on the clouds. People weaved between them, gasping, sweating, eyes locked ahead. A single wobble meant a crash, a collision, a fall from nowhere. And the sky, once our final frontier, began feeling like just another battlefield. But as the world scrambled to manage this new dimension, something strange began happening. People stopped flying at all, not out of fear or exhaustion, but because they simply forgot how. Like children who'd never learned to ride a bike, they stood on the ground, arms outstretched, mimicking flight, but no lift came. The sky, once full of movement, grew still. It was as if the sky had grown tired of us, first in small ways, like a child forgetting how to ride without training wheels. Some couldn't even hover an inch above ground anymore. Parents watched helplessly as their kids flapped uselessly, cheeks flushed, eyes wide with the effort of something now lost. The air, once humming with wings, felt heavier, like silence after a song. And it wasn't just a few people. Skies that once buzzed with paragliders and joyriding teens fell silent. Sky lanes emptied. Airports became ghost towns. The racers, those daredevil aces who lived for the edge, were the first to feel the fall. What had once seemed limitless now felt like a gift we'd taken for granted. And somewhere, deep in the clouds, something ancient stirred. A shadow moved where there should have been none. The sky, once ours, began to remember it had other tenants. We'd painted the sky with our joy, our pride, our careless loops and spirals. But the wind carried whispers we'd ignored of storms that answered no one. And when the first great winged shape split the heavens, we learned the hard way. The sky had rules, ancient and unbroken. What if the greatest power we ever had wasn't flight, but knowing when to fall? That first winged shape? Ancient, weathered. The sky had been waiting. The wind shifted, no breeze, a message. It rattled windows, shook dust from regrets, bent trees like they knew something we didn't.